out our portrait after we've used the griddrawingtool.com, and now that we've mapped out our values, we're going to map this out on our paper. But before we can draw on our paper, we need to make a grid on our paper that matches the grid on our picture. So if you're looking, you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1-inch squares that go across our screen, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares that go down. So we have 5 that go across, and I have a paper that is 10 inches, all right? So 10 inches. So we know that 5 times what makes 10 inches? That's right, 2. So we are going to go every 2 inches down our paper so that we have that 2-inch ratio. And if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 down, and we look at our paper, we have 16 inches here. 8 times what makes 16? 2. So we're going to have a 2 by 2 inch square. So every 2 inches, I'm going to make a mark on my paper, and that mark is going to be very light. And it's going to simply be a dot or a line that extends my ruler. So my 0 is lining up right over here on the very edge. And I have my 2 right here. I'm going to make a dot. And I'm going to do it again at 4, at 6, at 8, at 10, at 12. And I ran out of space, so I'm going to move my ruler down, getting my 0 on the dot, and going back to 2, and then 4 is the edge of the paper. Now the important part is making sure we lower our ruler to the bottom. That way it stays the same on both sides. And 4 is on the bottom. Now going this direction, we're going to do this 3 times because our paper is much longer than our ruler. So we're going to come across the top, lining our 0 up on the outside edge, and we're going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 is on the edge of the paper. I'm going to go midway down my paper so I can line my dots up. I'm going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 is on the edge of my paper. And now I have to come all the way down to the bottom. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 is on the edge of my paper. Now I'm ready to connect all my lines. So this time, I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to line my line up. I'm going to line this dot with this dot here, and I'm going to draw a light line. And now I'm going to take this line and line it up to this line here, and continue that on down. And I'm going to do that throughout all of my dots, all the way across. Then I'm going to repeat and go all the way this way. All right, so now if we look at our paper, we can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares, which matches our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares, which matches the 8 that goes down. Now we're going to label across the top and across the side so that it matches the same on our paper and on our picture. So I label the letters going across the top, and I go A, B, C, D, E, and then I'm going to go A is again 1, and I go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I'm going to do the same thing over here to my picture using my edit, markup tool. I'm going to tell it A, B, C, D, E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, and 8. All right, so now that I'm looking at my squares, just the same as when we gridded out our flowers, we are going to look at each square and see if there's anything in it. And sometimes people like to turn their picture upside down so it's less recognizable as a person. If you do that, turn your paper upside down as well. If you want to turn it sideways, whatever you want to do. But for just getting you started, I want you to look at A1, 1A, whichever you want to call it, notice there's nothing there. Looking at B, 1B, you can see that there's a little bit of a tuft happening in the hair here. So I'm going to use the same skills that we used for the flower to measure and see where that line is happening for that tuft of hair, and then it comes on in over to C, and I'm just going to keep following that line, seeing and asking myself, how far over is it? Is it halfway up? Is it more than halfway up? Is it less than halfway up? And I'm going to make the marks happen. The red outlines that we did before when we did our markup of our values are what we're going to draw in on here. So our drawing is going to look like those red lines. Take your time, be patient. If you have to, remember to break a box down into fours, break a box into fours so that you can get those details in.